Do not waste your time or money on the Wukong game. I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to tell you why it's not worth 60 bucks. If you're from the West, do not spend any money on this thing. Oh, but there's 2.2 million people playing it. I'm going to get into that and how that number isn't exactly accurate. And before anyone tries to claim I'm being anti-Chinese, I am literally playing Once Human right now, which is a Chinese game. The only difference, it's free, and it's multiplayer. And before anyone thinks, oh, you're like some kind of Sweet Baby Inc., shill. No, I'm not. I'm actually on the side of you guys on that subject. Look at all these loser diversity games with no player base, okay, guys? I am on your side on that. SBI can get effed. Now, real quick, let's just debunk that player count. So, as you can see, there was a Twitter guy or company, some sort of paid service. Who cares? Don't give companies your money to learn about video game statistics. Don't be stupid. But essentially, they posted that 88% of all the players they estimate, allegedly, are Chinese. And if you look at the Steam download bandwidth used, you can see that Asia has 59.3 tera something or others, some kind of nerd measurement. Whereas North America, Europe, etc., they're barely in the sevens. So you can see that the majority of downloads right now come from Asia, and that's because the majority of people playing the game are from Asia. But so Benji, that doesn't matter. The player count doesn't matter. It's so high anyway. Who cares if it's from North America or China? Okay, so if you ever go out, unless you're like some sort of shut-in, stay-at-home person, if you go out to any nerd area like an arcade or a bar or a comic book store and you try to be like, hey, anyone play that new Wukong game? They're gonna be like, what? What are you talking about? Oh, that Chinese game? What? Like, no one in the West is playing this game, okay? So, this player count can go screw itself. It is not representative of the games that we play and the games we like. Also, I just want to point out, this is not some sort of revenge video because the devs didn't give me a free copy of the game because I'm a YouTuber. I didn't really ask in the right places, and anywhere that you see online of me asking for a copy of the game is a shit post, okay? I have turned down 4 people already in the last hour trying to gift me this game. I don't want it. I don't want to play it. It's single player. I don't care. Now, I won't be showing any videos or images other than the Steam page because that's fair use of the game, all right? So instead, we're just going to be staring at web pages and images because I don't want any little doofus from the game company trying to falsely copyright claim me or shut this video down. A huge amount of the game's reviews aren't even in English, and a lot of them are just refunded. Like, you can see product refunded on a whole bunch of reviews. Now, I gave the game a fair shake. I sat down and I watched 12 entire hours of stream footage of people streaming the game. And let me tell you what I basically saw. So, sometimes I would get up and make food or go do something else and then come back to the stream. And so at one point I was watching a streamer, Rose MMO, and he was fighting this big, bald, like golem enemy that's gray colored. And a few hours later, I checked back on the stream, and he's fighting a big, bald... The enemy looked the exact same, except it was colored golden instead of gray. And every time I would just, randomly check in on the stream, he's like 1v1ing a boss enemy, where he's just, doing his stick combos and casting his 3 spells that he's had for hours and hours. And the gameplay loop was basically that. It's just a 3D beat-em-up game, similar to a Souls game, but not exactly. Not even as clean or fluid or cool as like a Devil May Cry game. There was just a lot of... It just felt lazy and kind of boring. One of the most important things that I say is, will you remember this game 10 years from now, and why? What is it you're going to remember? Now, I'm going to tell you right now that the Wukong game, you're not going to remember it in 10 years. You'll be like, oh yeah, I played that 10 years ago, and you'll be like, oh, well, what was your favorite mode? And you're like, you won't be able to answer. New image of English-only reviews and English plus Chinese reviews. Now, the game completely and utterly lacks multiplayer, which means that you're not gonna have any memories with other players. You're not gonna make any friends. You're not going to have any social moments. And before you're like, oh, well, Elden Ring is multiplayer. Yeah, Elden Ring is kind of sort of multiplayer light. Even Elden Ring, you can't socialize. There's no open mic chat. There's no text chat other than leaving messages on the ground that are weird and stupid. There's no actual socialization with other real people. You're just mingling with real people, but not socializing with them. So there are 3 reasons you should play video games, and if you are not playing video games for these reasons, at the end of the day, you're a loser, and essentially you should find a real hobby and make something of your life. But if you're, plenty of people don't make money playing video games. Either they're not selling in-game currency, they're not a pro gamer making tournament money, or they're not a content creator like me. That's totally fine. You don't have to do everything on this list. However, if you are playing a game that lacks the ability to socialize, you are not actually making friends or long-term friends or anything of the sort. And no, being in a random Discord server and it just so happens you both play Fortnite isn't socializing. That's socializing outside of the game. If the game doesn't give you an outlet to socialize through voice chat or text chat, it's a loser game, simple as. Finally, to make memories. A lot of people just play a video game to increase their kill-death ratio or to beat the game or, oh, the story, dude, oh, the story's so good. When's the last time you remembered a good story in a video game? When's the last time, name some games 10 years ago that you remember the stories vividly, besides like really famous JRPGs, and even those are kind of murky, right? No, like, you need to be making actual memories, like you built a super castle in Minecraft, or you ganked low-level players, and then 5 years later they called you out for ganking them in a totally different game because they remembered your name. And look, I get it, you really want to fight this bullcrap, and I do too, but this game is not it. This game is not the fight to end this. If you want to support games like Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, that's probably where you should spend your money, which, again, it's going to be a single-player game, and I played the first one, and it was alright, it's okay game, but I couldn't tell you the story, I couldn't tell you any of the cool moments in it, other than, like, some random nation attacks and you gotta flee for your life. There was a developer chest in a forest that gave you all the best items in the game. That's the 2 memories that I have of that game, and I put hundreds of hours into it. Even made YouTube guides on a completely different YouTube channel, and I can only remember 2 things. That's because, again, it's a single-player sloppa game. But I understand, you want to fight this, and I do too. Now, I do want you to understand that this is technically China's first AAA game, okay? And maybe does Genshin Impact count? Is that a AAA game, or is that an indie game? But yeah, that's why this player count is so damn high. This is not Western gamers. This is China doing China's thing, okay? But I'm just here to tell you, this is a single-player game, and if you are new to the internet, because it is not a live service game, there are, well, you could just YouTube the game if you want the story and pay nothing. You can save your money. You can also, you know, there's other ways to play single-player games, but I won't go into that. Now, everyone wants to point out this damn review where it's like lacking in inclusivity and diversity. Okay, but the real thing is, I'm gonna disagree with the pros here. Combat is fluid and fun. The combat is mid. It's kind of fluid, but that's just because you're swinging a stick around. And people that think they're so cool when they swoosh around a stick really quickly and do acrobatics with it. That's not my thing. I don't give a shit about that, okay? Cinematography can be breathtaking at times. What, like anime moments where you knock a character through a mountain and it explodes? The gameplay isn't like that. Yeah, the cinematics are, but who cares about cinematics? Go watch anime. Great diversity in items and mechanics. Literally no. You get like 3 or 4 spells. Your weapon is a staff that you change a little bit, and your armor is just plus defense. Like, there is not a diversity. There is no wearing this set item bonus gives you fire attacks plus 10 or anything, or wearing this set bonus allows you to have better chance at finding rares or something. There is literally no diversity in your items. It's just defense go up, damage go up. Whoop-de-freaking-do, okay? I'm just saying, the game is absolutely lifeless besides the pretty graphics. Like, okay, I've watched 12 hours of the game. I can name Wukong, the character you play as, and I can't name a single name of any of the other characters. That's how forgettable it is. And I just got done watching. It's like, yeah, there's like a little old dude that's like acts as like kind of a guide, helps you out in the start and stuff, and And there's a few enemies, like I can't name a single one. They're forgettable. And look, I get it, okay? The West is making absolutely abhorrent, ugly hag creatures, for protagonists, and the East is making absolutely gorgeous babes with big budgets, if you know what I mean. So I get why people want to support this as a big win. I understand, but the win, this is not the win that this is not a win. This is just China showing up for their first real video game. And look, I get it. I'm happy for the China bros. At the end of the day, we're all gamers, and China's doing crazy good stuff. They cured diabetes, apparently, which I'm going to need that when I'm in like a few years. I'll probably be getting diabetes sometime soon. And, it's a pretty safe place, assuming you don't work in a machine shop or a factory. Also note, a lot of the positive reviews that the Chinese are leaving, it's just they're doing it because it's patriotic for them to do. It's their first big game, and they're like, yeah, go China, woo! And, they want to show their support, because, well, if they don't, you know what happens. They're just farming that social credit score the same way we farm gear score in MMORPGs, am I right, guys? And I will say it is quite impressive, even though it is China and they outnumber us like 1,000 to 1 or something, that they beat 2 botted games. So Counter-Strike 2 has a lot of bots that collect, like, weapon cases. And Lost Ark had, it was like 80% bots at one point. So pretty damn good numbers. And look, the trend is going to continue. If you look at the top games right now, PUBG, Korean, Black Myth Wukong, China, Palworld, Japanese, Counter-Strike 2, technically American, but it's the people that own the damn shop, the people that own Steam, okay? And then Lost Ark, also Korean, right? Now, China does have interesting laws regarding video games in their country, and one of them that I found odd was that you are not allowed to force PvP on players in your game. Like, you can't force players to fight each other or something. I know I'm misinterpreting that law, but it's still weird to me. Also, every Chinese game I've ever played that is multiplayer, they are insanely sensitive to censorship, and also any kind of in-game griefing, shitposting, or trolling is met with very quick and swift bans, so trolls like me do not thrive in these games. Another thing is that if you are in China, you are paying much less technically for the game, and do note that China has a higher minimum wage than the United States. But if you don't believe anything I've said in this video, do your own research. Like, here's one of the reviews, product refunded after 1.3 hours. But it's funny, if you click on this guy's profile, he apparently bought the game again and is currently playing it. Odd, huh? Oh, and here's the population statistics just to compare. But yeah, I am glad that the game is currently mogging the diversity games very hard, and that's so nice to see. But I just wanted to make this video just to let people know that the literal player count, it's not Westerners, it's not Americans, it is literally just most of China showing up for their first real AAA non-gacha game. Anyway, we'll have to check on this game in a few months and see if it's still being updated or if they're adding, like, more enemies and levels and stuff to the game. Because all of these, like, single-player games mostly just completely flatline after the first 2 months. Every single-player game, no matter what type of genre it is, dies in 2 months. And, yeah, we'll see what happens. And the other point I wanted to make with the video is that all single-player games fizzle and die, as you can see from this chart here. Palworld's still holding on with 31k, but looking at single-player games, like, they just super die. And you can be like, well, New World is what's going on with New World. I have made over 200 videos on my channel on New World. We all know why it died. It died because the devs are trying to kill the game with changes. And, like, half of these players are bots. But Hogwarts Legacy, that's a big one there that's dead. That's going to jump up whenever the Quidditch stuff comes out pretty soon. I think that's this year. And Baldur's Gate 3 is multiplayer. I just want to point that out. It is multiplayer, all right? Valheim technically it's a really crappy multiplayer, but man, this game dropped the ball. Call of Duty, you can see multiplayer still holding strong. Terraria has multiplayer. I've never even heard of Capcom Arcade Stadium. I don't even know what that is. Fallout 4 is only made a resurgence because of the TV series, so that'll fizzle out pretty soon too. Oh, and there was a mod like Fallout London, I think runs on Fallout 4, I think. Anyway, that's all I got. That's the video. If you like MMORPG stuff, or you like game guides where it's no BS and I just cut to the chase and tell you all the best ways, the most efficient ways to play so you can save your damn time and you can spend your time doing other things like actually living life instead of trying to figure out a video game, then you can subscribe, I guess. It's whatever. But with that said, click the video on the right side of your screen, and if you don't, you're going to stumble in public and it's going to be minorly embarrassing.